Okay. All right. The Town of Manteo Planning and Zoning Board meeting of September 8th will begin at 6 o'clock. Our first order of business is a roll call of those present. Fields Scarborough, Jamie Daniels, Nicole Northrup, present, and Hal Goodman.
Present.
And also present is me, Sherry Wickstrom. Our next order of business is the adoption of the agenda. So first I should ask, are there any changes to the agenda? Okay.
I move that we adopt the agenda as submitted.
Is there a second? That was Hal Goodman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Field Scarborough. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous. That motion passes. The next order of business is the approval of minutes. The minutes have been distributed and reviewed. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion for approval of the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes of the August 11th meeting.
Hal Goodman made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Nicole Northrup seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous, including myself. All right, the next order of business is the public comment. And so members of the public are invited to address the planning board. And the public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions or to take any action on items brought up during the public comment period. Speakers will address all the comments to the board as a whole and not one individual member. Discussions between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Time limits are 3 minutes per person, 5 minutes per group. Please identify yourself if so. Please identify yourself so that your statements can be recorded. And if anyone who has Zoomed in wishes to speak, you can let us know that by raising your hand via *9. Anybody out there who wishes to speak during the public comment period? We don't see anybody. One more time. Anybody out there? Okay. It looks like we don't have anyone who wishes to speak this evening. So we'll move on from our public comment period to new business, which of course we don't have any this evening. We do have old business, however, this evening. Our old business is a boat lift text amendment, which we have talked about, at the last planning board meeting. And this was a request by the Board of Commissioners that we create text to address 3 different issues. And so that is protecting the the town of Manteo owned boardwalk, to protect that from any boat lifts and also any specifications to the boat lifts that are already in place, length of boat, and also what to do during storms that are named. So we have that work that we have been working on. So what we're looking at now, we have received some language from the attorney, the town attorney. So we wanted to take a look at that tonight. I know that there have been others on the planning board who also have ideas about what language we could use. So I think we should start by looking at that. And Melissa, can you help us out? you want to use the?
I think I'm there. Okay, so in the packet that you all have, there is a document that has town attorney written at the top of it. And so you'll recall that last month, you all asked that I consult with the town attorney for this particular section. So it's proposed section D1, and establishing the geography seemed to be the tricky question for everyone to answer. And so what the attorney has suggested for language is, and I will read it, it says boat lifts may not be associated with, attached to, or located seaward of boardwalks running generally parallel to the shoreline, which are owned by the town, or two, that are subject to public access via a dedicated easement and located directly upon Shallowbag Bay. This prohibition extends to any docks or structures which are located seaward of such boardwalks. That's my typo. Unless such dock extends seaward from a privately owned marina located upon a boat basin. So I know that there was concern mentioned at the last meeting regarding the boardwalk located at Marsh's Light that does have a public easement, and where the magic line of this prohibition goes to. So I am going to switch over my screen quickly to show you all an exhibit. I'm not seeing that. Just, excuse me, just a second. I apologize for those on the call. We're having some technical issues showing this exhibit on the screen.
There we go.
Thank you. So I will zoom in so it's easier for you all to see. And okay, I can go even further. Just a second. Looks much larger on my. Okay, so I think based on the discussion that you all had last month, that the area where the geography here would be like L21, and anything beyond that may be where the boat lifts would be allowed.
Hal, that's correct, isn't it? That's what I remember from your
Yeah,
comments.
We're going to go from that point
All the way up.
down to where it attaches to the town of Manio.
To the bridge,
Property.
to the bridge. Yeah, right.
Right by the,
And then
right by
to
the net shack.
Yeah.
So, Madam Chair, do you want me to read
Pivot to the next check, right?
your suggestion? Okay. So all of this is the same section. Again, D1. Chair Wickstrom had shared with me prior to the meeting some alternative suggested language that reads, boat lifts and similar devices are prohibited and may not be attached or located in Shallowbag Bay on the waterfront boardwalks, which are owned by the town or a dedicated public easement from the Coramay Daniels Bass Night Bridge to Marsh's Light. We could be even more specific and say Marsh's Light Marina.
And that number there, that bulkhead number.
So those are, I know Member Northrop had some suggestions too. But I think it's to you all now for some sort of discussion.
Yes.
And I'm here to answer any questions you
Okay.
might have.
Can we see language? I mean, can you put both of them? Well, we can,
I kind of like your language better than the legalese. I think it's much clearer.
well, Hal, you know what I did was I went back and looked through the ordinance, actually several different renditions of things that we had received, and that I pulled the language like it was. So it was commensurate with what was already in the zoning code book. So anyway, but I do, one thing I mean, I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I'm a little uncomfortable with one thing about this, and that is boat lifts and similar devices are prohibited and may not be attached or located on the waterfront boardwalk in Shallowbag Bay would be, I think would read better, which are owned by the town of Manio or a dedicated public easement from the Coramay Daniels Bass Night Bridge to, what did you say, Melissa?
Shallowbag Bay Marina. And
Yeah.
the location on, so that exhibit that I was showing you, I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. That is the deed for the easement access. So we could reference L21 on the recorded deed for the easement.
Any way we can be clear, as Nicole has brought up so often, we can be clear about what we're talking about, I think would be helpful. And Nicole, I know you have had this going around in your mind.
I specifically said to the currently constructed slips that it would be nice to define it from that there would be no boat lifts allowed from the Coramay Daniels Bass Night Bridge to the currently constructed slips in Shallowbag
What we
Bay.
could possibly do is those
And I don't know if
slips,
that's legal or not, Jamie, you might
well,
know
what we
better.
could do to clarify that is those slips are numbered. We could probably
Right, I
say to
understood
the
that.
marina at slip number, whatever
Right, if
that
we
last
find-
slip is in the marina.
Melissa,
Exactly.
could you pull the map back up?
Yeah, that's a really
Yes,
good.
just a second. I was trying to get these.
It looks like where the dog area is right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. And unless somebody's got a copy of that document, they're
And that
not
would
going to
be-
know what L21 is.
It's like right there. It's right where everyone looks out.
Yeah. If we could say to slip number, whatever.
Yeah, we can.
Because those slips,
right.
they usually have a little number tag
Right,
attached to
right,
the
no.
dock, giving you the
But-
slip number.
After our last conversation, I was so delighted that the town attorney felt that this was a reasonable, something that we could do in terms of the public easement. So I was really delighted about that.
Okay, so let's say we're all in agreement, I think, that from the point L21 south, they were allowed. But
Yeah, that's.
The way I read this
basically the marina
language-
basin.
they would not be allowed in that basin, which, like,
Yeah, that basin is.
there's
the
actually
marina,
one
that's
at
the
about where
marina.
L40 is. It's not exactly, I'm looking at it on Google Maps, and it's not exactly like, built like it was drawn. But there is a boat lift already at L40.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But all that in front of that is boardwalk that town has the easement to, right?
Yes, the easement goes all the way to L48.
And we are allowing boat lifts from L48 to L22.
Mhm.
Stop it at the, well, L21's at the bulkhead.
L21. That makes sense.
It does. That's what.
It seems pretty simple and clear, just that someone desires a boat lift, at least they know, they don't have to go, well, what's the leeward side?
I know.
I mean, I can't help it, it was a little funny.
The simpler,
That's
the
why I said we need
better.
to get
The
rid of
seaward
the
side.
legalese.
Yeah.
Ahoy, lady.
We wanted it last
Well,
time.
we allow boat lifts on land,
Huh?
not on the seaward side, but you can have boat lift on the land.
Gotcha.
Right.
All right. Yes, yes.
Doesn't do you a whole lot of good. You might as well
Yes,
put the
yes,
boat
we
on a trailer
technically
instead of
could,
the
yeah.
That's
boat.
what you were saying.
I've cut and pasted the language, and so I'm gonna show this to you all. in a
Oh,
Word
good.
document.
Thank you. Very good.
Up there. Okay. So we know we need to say.
Nicole, do you think that the Shallow Bag Bay should come after the waterfront boardwalk in Shallow Bag Bay? I mean, I know you're a wordsmith.
No, well. Yeah, actually, I mean, what do you all think? I like it better on the waterfront
Yeah,
boardwalk.
boardwalks in Shallow
In-
Bag.
That's
Bay,
what I
Right,
think too,
right.
Or
Melissa.
adjacent to Shallow Bag Bay.
Ooh, even better.
Yeah, that is better.
They're not in
Adjacent.
it, they're
Teamwork
adjacent to it.
That's the way
It's all
it's
teamwork
supposed to be.
Is this right?
Alyssa has good command of Microsoft Word.
Adjacent to Shallow Bag. Yeah.
Take the extra space out. Yeah, right there.
Were we going to add the,
I was looking for some direction there. So should, and say,
More bulkhead,
yeah, at,
Marshall Place.
We had specific slips, didn't we?
we did.
Yeah, we want to put the specific slip numbers in there.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a diagram with the slip numbers.
There it is.
Yeah, that'll work.
should I say point L21 or?
Yeah, because that's what it is. I don't, they don't say what those numbers refer to actually on there. They just have all those different sections
Perfect.
with a letter and a number.
It wouldn't be slip.
But, I mean, that's as good as anything.
Yeah. I think that language there matches and is commensurate with how we have our zoning codes. What was it, Nicole?
I think you shouldn't capitalize bridge. Am I-
Yeah. That's the name of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other additions, changes?
I move that we approve it as it is shown on the screen.
Okay. We do have two other ones, but, okay. Do we need separate motions for the three? Or should we just make them all?
Are you all okay with numbers 2 and 3 under section D?
Yeah, those are the other two we have to make sure we're okay
Yeah,
with.
28 feet or less.
We really talked about
Yeah,
this the
those are
last
the
time.
things that
Okay.
we put in
And
there
they need to be
initially,
removed,
that
yeah.
they need to be removed before a storm and that it should be for boats 28 feet or less.
And everybody is okey dokey with all three of those then. So Hal, you made a motion?
Yes, I move that we approve with the wording that's on the board and items 2 and 3 that are on the form that we have.
Very well. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll make a second.
Jamie Daniels seconded that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that is unanimous. So the language has been agreed and moved, seconded, and approved. Okay, excellent, excellent, excellent. The next order of business for us is board members' comments. And so why don't I go around and ask, what did you say, Becky? Okay. I thought you maybe had something to say. Fields, do you have any comments? No comments from Fields?
I'll just apologize for not being here last month. Just got it over my head and had too much to do, but
So glad to see you tonight. It happens. Nicole?
No comments, no. It's good.
Yeah.
The only thing I've got, we already discussed, and Melissa, maybe you can shed some light on it. Have you talked to Dare County about that sailboat over by the state boat ramp at the bridge, the Washington Bomb Bridge? Because that boat is now hard aground, laying on its side, and it is, I don't know if it's got any fuel in it, but if it does, it's probably going to start leaking out pretty soon.
Yes, I have talked to the county. I sent them all the information that I had on the owner, and they were looking to get some resolution to it. There was a question about the location of the actual owner of the vessel. So, but I've provided them all the information necessary that we would have, because that boat had previously been in Shallowback Bay. I seriously doubt there is any fuel on that boat based on how long it's been around. And I'm pretty sure he had it towed to that location. So
The worst thing would be is if there's fuel left in the fuel tank on there, and it starts leaking out, because when the wind turned northeast at the end of last week, that thing was in there kind of in shallow water, laying over a little. Now it's totally over on its side, now that the water's gone down.
it was soon after our meeting last month that I spoke to the county's, I'm not sure what his title is, but yeah, he works for the Waterways Commission, Brent Johnson. And I had not heard back from him, but I did confirm for him that it's outside of the town's jurisdictional waters and that it would default to Marine Resources or the county or some other entity.
Okay.
And I provided him all the information that I had that would be helpful to
and I
him.
know it's a drawn-out process that they have to go through before they can actually have it declared a derelict vessel and be allowed to yank it out of there.
Anything else, Hal?
That's it.
All right. I do have something I wanted to, under board member reports, and that is I have been contacted by 4 different residents about something that they're concerned about. And so I'm just bringing it to this group. I have asked Melissa about it, but maybe it will be something that we can discuss in the future. But what I've been contacted about is the idea that large flags that are on privately held boats in public in the Manio Harbor. I mean, folks are asking me, when does it become a billboard or an advertisement that we don't, and I'm not even, I mean, I'm talking, if a business had a huge flag and had, something that they wanted to advertise, So I think it's a really good question about what do we do? I mean, can we do anything? Should we do anything? Do we have any rules around what people can, the size of flags that they can have on their boat that is an advertisement for something?
And we've
So-
had a lot of that discussion in Pirates Cove because there's
Okay.
same issue in the marina there, as well as some people putting them on their houses, and most of them are bigger than normal.
Right.
The kind of flag you'd normally fly, and, some people like them, some people don't like them, but so far, the conclusion that's been drawn is there's not much you can do when it's totally on private property, but the boats are a different issue because they're sitting in public trust water.
Exactly. So Melissa, was there anything that you wanted to say about our billboard ordinance or anything?
Sure. So staff did have a conversation today with the town attorney about it. I think folks had called town hall concerned about the similar same issue. And one of the things is that currently it could be part of the agreement with the renters at the docks, but it is not currently.
Sure.
So that was, I mean, it could be part of, I guess, the lease or lease agreement, whatever the rental agreement is, but it isn't there currently. So there's not an opportunity now to.
Can we put that on our docket sometime in the future to look at that? Maybe at
Sure.
the,
December, maybe.
yeah, December, January, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, and I mean, when you think about it, truly, it could say anything on those enormous flags. I know that there's a political bent at the moment, but really it could say anything. And I think it's something we do need to think about in terms of what is allowable and how many are allowable, just as a discussion point. So maybe in a couple of months we can have that discussion or think about that. But I did not feel like I could be here tonight and not mention it because so many people have mentioned it to me. And I'm sure you've had the same kind of comments, obviously. So anyway, good. Very well. So it looks like we're at our adjournment. Do we have anyone who wishes to make a motion? We can stay.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second.
Hal Goodman moves to adjourn, and then we have a second by Jamie Daniels. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that is unanimous. Thank you all.
If we stay here, are you going to provide dinner?
Well,